Do you feel anxious, out of control, and lost in the face of life's challenges? Perhaps only one thing is missing: understanding how to apply Stoicism in your daily life in a practical and transformative way. Today you're going to discover how the Stoic Millionaire masters these ancient principles and how you can do the same, starting now. This isn't complex philosophical theory, it's direct action for your emotional independence. Prepare yourself for real transformation. The Stoic Millionaire understood something fundamental that completely changed his life. Wasting time worrying about things outside his control only fed anxiety and frustration. For years, he had squandered valuable mental energy on situations he simply couldn't influence. Morning traffic, other people's decisions, global economic changes, the weather. All these things had been sources of constant stress until he discovered the power of emotional management through strategic focus. The revelation came during a particularly difficult business crisis. While his competitors consumed themselves in panic over external factors, he made a radical decision: divide all his problems into two simple categories. On the left side of a sheet he wrote what I can control, and on the right what I cannot control. The result was transformative. On the left side appeared his daily decisions, his attitude, his preparation, his actions, his response to events. On the right side, competitors' decisions, market fluctuations, others' opinions, natural disasters. Direct application in your life. Implement the Stoic Millionaire's total control protocol. Each morning, before checking your phone or consuming news, dedicate 5 minutes to this practice. Take a sheet of paper and draw a vertical line in the center. Left side, under my total control. Right side, outside my control. Write down everything that worries you or that you plan to do that day in the corresponding column. Now comes the crucial part. For everything in the right column, practice conscious release. Read each item and say out loud, I release my need to control this. I redirect my energy toward what I can influence. For everything in the left column, create a specific action plan with times and concrete steps. When you feel anxiety or frustration during the day, apply the power question. Is this under my total, partial, or no control? If it's total control, act immediately. If it's partial, identify exactly which part you can influence and focus only on that part. If it's no control, practice conscious breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 6, and repeat while telling yourself, I release what I cannot change, I embrace what I can create. The Stoic Millionaire discovered that this practice not only reduced his stress but multiplied his effectiveness. By channeling all his mental energy toward things he could actually change, his results skyrocketed. His decisions became clearer, his actions more decisive, and his self-control strengthened exponentially. Also implement the daily closing ritual. Each night before sleeping, review your day and ask yourself, in what moments today did I waste energy on things outside my control? And in what moments did I exercise real power over my life? This conscious reflection reprograms your mind to automatically identify where to invest your mental energy. As Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, said, you have power over your mind, not external events. Realize this and you will find strength. The Stoic Millionaire made this phrase his daily mantra, and the results were extraordinary. His emotional independence grew, his resilience multiplied, and his capacity to create real results in the world expanded impressively. While most people see problems as enemies to avoid, the Stoic Millionaire learned a revolutionary truth. Every obstacle is a disguised teacher who comes to teach you something essential for your growth. His extraordinary resilience was born from this transformative mindset that converted every crisis into a catalyst for personal and professional evolution. The most powerful lesson came during his greatest business failure. He had invested 3 years and most of his savings in a project that seemed destined for success. The numbers were promising, the team was talented, the strategy was well designed. However, a combination of unexpected regulatory changes and aggressive competitive moves led the company to bankruptcy in a matter of months. While his partners sank into bitterness and recriminations, he made a decision that would define his future. He was going to extract every possible lesson from this painful experience. Instead of seeing failure as an ending, he reimagined it as an intensive entrepreneurship university where he had paid very expensive tuition but received invaluable education. Transformative application in your life. Implement the Stoic Millionaire's mental alchemy protocol, designed to convert any obstacle into accelerated growth opportunity. Step 1: the strategic pause. When you face any difficulty, from an argument with your partner to a work crisis, resist the impulse to react immediately with negative emotions. Instead, take a conscious pause of at least 30 seconds. Breathe deeply and say, "This obstacle comes to teach me something valuable. I'm going to discover what it is." Step 2. The 3 growth questions. Ask these specific questions. What specific skill do I need to develop to overcome this? What aspect of my character is being strengthened by this experience? How might this situation open doors I hadn't considered before? Step 3. The hidden opportunities map. Take a sheet of paper and draw your obstacle in the center. Now, around it, write all the possible opportunities, learnings, and connections that could arise from this situation. The Stoic Millionaire discovered that the biggest obstacles contain the most transformative opportunities. For example, when he lost his ideal job due to corporate downsizing, he initially felt devastated. But applying this protocol, he identified hidden opportunities, time to develop skills he had postponed, the possibility of exploring a different industry, the opportunity to create his own business, the chance to re-evaluate his true life priorities. Step 4. Opportunity action. For each identified opportunity, define a specific action you can take in the next 24 hours. It's not about planning perfectly, but about generating momentum toward transforming the obstacle into a catalyst. The Stoic Millionaire also developed the gratitude for obstacles ritual. Each week he wrote a thank you letter to a past problem that he had initially resisted but that had subsequently resulted in significant growth. This practice reprogrammed his brain to anticipate the hidden gifts in each difficulty. Also implement the future wise self question. When facing an obstacle, ask yourself, how would the wisest, most successful version of myself in 5 years view this situation? This temporal perspective helps you see opportunities that your present stress might be hiding. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The Stoic Millionaire made this philosophy a daily practice, systematically transforming every obstacle into a stepping stone toward his most ambitious goals. This mindset of accelerated personal development not only changed his relationship with problems but multiplied his capacity to create innovative solutions and build the inner strength necessary to face increasingly greater challenges with confidence and creativity. The Stoic Millionaire made a revolutionary discovery that completely transformed his relationship with wealth and happiness. True freedom doesn't come from accumulating more possessions, but from developing the capacity to live fully with or without them. His conscious detachment wasn't cold indifference, but a sophisticated form of emotional independence that granted him extraordinary power over his own well-being. The revelation came during the peak of his financial success. He had everything he believed he needed: the perfect mansion, luxury cars, exotic vacation destinations, designer clothes, prosperous investments. However, he realized he was living in a constant state of subtle anxiety. Each possession brought with it the fear of losing it. Each material achievement generated pressure to maintain or surpass it. One day during morning meditation he asked himself, what would happen if I lost all this tomorrow? Would I still be happy? Would I still be myself? The honest answer disturbed him. He had become so dependent on his external possessions that he had lost contact with his fundamental inner strength. Transformative application of conscious detachment. The Stoic Millionaire developed the Inner Freedom Protocol that you can implement immediately to build authentic emotional independence. Phase 1. The Dependencies Inventory. Make a list of all the material things to which you're emotionally attached. Your specific phone, your car, your house, your favorite clothes, your electronic devices, even your bank account. Next to each item, rate from 1 to 10 how anxious you would get if you lost it permanently tomorrow. Phase 2. Temporal Loss Meditation. Choose the material object you rated with the highest number. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and vividly visualize losing that possession. Not as a tragedy but as an opportunity to discover your inner strength. Breathe deeply while experiencing whatever anxiety arises. Ask yourself, who am I without this thing? What aspects of my identity and my worth as a person remain intact? Phase 3. The Voluntary Simplicity Experiment. Once a week, practice deliberately living without something you're attached to. If you're attached to your latest generation phone, use a basic phone for a day. If you're attached to eating at expensive restaurants, prepare simple meals at home. If you're attached to your luxury car, use public transportation or walk. The Stoic Millionaire discovered that these practices didn't make him less ambitious or successful. On the contrary, they freed him to pursue objectives from a place of authentic desire rather than desperate need. His emotional management improved dramatically because he was no longer in constant protection mode of his possessions. Phase 4. Detached Gratitude Practice. Each day, dedicate time to deeply appreciate something you own, but simultaneously practice mentally releasing it. For example, admire your home and feel genuinely grateful for it, but then imagine giving it away with joy if necessary. This practice develops the capacity to enjoy fully without clinging desperately. Phase 5. The Inner Wealth Ritual. Each morning, before checking your bank account or evaluating your material possessions, dedicate 10 minutes to taking inventory of your inner wealth. Your skills, your knowledge, your authentic relationships, your capacity to create value, your resilience, your capacity to love and be loved, your accumulated wisdom. Remind yourself that these internal assets are the only ones no one can take from you and the only ones that truly determine your capacity to be happy. The Stoic Millionaire also implemented the 1% detachment rule. Each month he voluntarily got rid of 1% of his possessions, donating or giving them away. Not because they were bad, but to practice the muscle of letting go and remind himself that his well-being didn't depend on accumulating objects. Advanced application. Practice healthy relational detachment. This doesn't mean loving the important people in your life less, but loving without the anxiety of control. Deeply appreciate your loved ones while recognizing that each person has their own path and their own decisions. This form of detached love paradoxically deepens connections because it eliminates the sticky energy of desperate need. As Seneca taught, it is likely that some misfortunes have been good for us. For example, poverty has freed us from many vices. The Stoic Millionaire understood that true luxury was the capacity to choose freely, without being enslaved by the possessions that were supposed to have liberated him. This practice of conscious detachment became the foundation of his deepest self-discipline and his most refined self-control, allowing him to make decisions from inner abundance rather than from emotional scarcity. Between what happens to you and your response exists a sacred space. In that space resides your most fundamental power of choice, your capacity to consciously decide who you want to be in each moment. The Stoic Millionaire learned to inhabit that space with absolute mastery, transforming his emotional management into his most developed superpower and the foundation of his extraordinary self-control. For years, he had been a victim of his automatic reactions. A criticism would plunge him into hours of destructive rumination. An unexpected event would launch him into anxiety spirals. A missed opportunity would keep him awake for entire nights. His emotions controlled him completely, dictating his decisions, sabotaging his relationships, and severely limiting his personal and professional effectiveness. The transformation moment came during a particularly tense business meeting. A potential partner, completely unexpectedly and unjustifiably, verbally attacked him in front of other important investors, questioning not only his professional competence but also his personal integrity. His instinctive reaction was fury. He felt adrenaline coursing through his veins, words of defense and counterattack forming in his mind, the almost irresistible impulse to return the blow with equal or greater intensity. But in that critical moment, something changed. Instead of reacting automatically, he found a pause. A small but powerful space between the stimulus and his response. In that pause, he asked himself, how do I want to be remembered for this situation? What response would bring me closer to my long-term objectives? Application of emotional mastery in your life. Implement the Stoic Millionaire's conscious response system, designed to transform your automatic reactions into strategic and conscious responses. Technique 1. The Sacred Pause. When you feel any intense emotion, anger, fear, frustration, disappointment, immediately implement the 7-second pause. Count slowly from 1 to 7 while breathing deeply. During these seconds, don't make any decisions or say any words. Use this time to ask yourself, what is my body feeling? What is my mind thinking? How does the wisest version of myself want to respond? Technique 2. The Instant Reframing Protocol. Develop the capacity to see any situation from multiple perspectives simultaneously. When someone criticizes you, instead of immediately assuming malice, ask yourself, could this person be going through a difficult time? Is there any useful truth in what they're saying? How could I use this information to improve? What growth opportunity is hiding here? Technique 3. The Conscious Response Ladder. Before responding to any emotionally charged situation, mentally climb this ladder. Step 1. What do I feel now? Emotional recognition. Step 2. What do I want to achieve with my response? Clarity of intention. Step 3. What response options do I have? Creativity of alternatives. Step 4. Which response brings me closer to who I want to be? Alignment with values. Step 5. How will I implement this response? Execution planning. Technique 4. Controlled provocation training. The Stoic Millionaire developed an advanced practice. He deliberately exposed himself to mildly irritating situations, traffic, long lines, slow service, as a gym to strengthen his emotional self-discipline. In these minor situations he practiced maintaining perfect calm, finding opportunities for gratitude, and using lost time productively, mental planning, meditation, conscious observation of surroundings. Technique 5. The Future Wise Self-Question. In moments of temptation to react impulsively, ask yourself, how will I want to have responded when I remember this situation in a year? This temporal perspective helps you choose responses that will make you feel proud in retrospect. Advanced application for difficult situations. When facing criticism or personal attacks, implement the emotional Aikido protocol. Instead of directly resisting negative energy, which creates conflict, or absorbing it, which damages you, learn to redirect it constructively. Respond with genuine curiosity. Thank you for your perspective. Can you help me understand specifically what you think I could improve? This response disarms aggression and converts conflict into growth opportunity. The Stoic Millionaire also developed the daily emotional review ritual. Each night he reviewed situations from the day where he had reacted emotionally and asked himself, how could I have responded more consciously? What emotional pattern am I seeing? What specific trigger do I need to strengthen? Emotional muscle training. Practice daily conscious response meditation. Visualize situations that typically trigger you emotionally, a demanding boss, a hurtful comment from a family member, a missed opportunity, and mentally practice responding from your inner strength rather than from automatic reactivity. As Viktor Frankl taught, between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. The Stoic Millionaire made this principle the cornerstone of his personal development, building an emotional resilience that became his most valuable competitive advantage in all aspects of his life. The Stoic Millionaire made a transformative discovery that radically changed his relationship with time and exponentially multiplied his effectiveness. He had been living in all times except the only one that really mattered, the present. For years, his mind had been an uncontrolled time traveler, constantly jumping between a past full of regrets and a future loaded with anxieties, completely losing the power of the current moment where all real action and all authentic creation happen. The revelation came during what seemed to be one of his most productive weeks. He had his agenda full of important meetings, projects advancing, deals closing. However, at the end of the week he felt strangely empty and disconnected. He realized he had been physically present in each activity, but mentally absent from almost all of them. During meetings he thought about the afternoon presentation. During the presentation he worried about the next day's call. During family dinner he mentally planned the following week's strategy. He was living his life on autopilot mode, completely losing the richness, depth, and power of the present moment. His emotional management had deteriorated because he wasn't really experiencing his emotions in real time, but reacting to memories from the past or projections of the future. Application of present power in your life. Implement the Stoic Millionaire's intentional presence system, designed to anchor your consciousness in the current moment while maintaining clear direction toward your long-term objectives. Protocol 1. The Morning Anchoring Ritual. Each morning, before checking your phone or planning your day, dedicate 10 minutes to conscious present meditation. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and focus your attention completely on your breathing. When your mind wanders to future worries or past memories, gently return your attention to the physical sensation of breathing. This exercise trains your presence muscle for the rest of the day. Protocol 2. The 3 Essential Priorities. Each morning, identify exactly 3 objectives that are genuinely important for that specific day. Not a list of 20 tasks, but 3 priorities that, if you completed them with excellence, would make that day an authentic success. Write them on a card you keep visible throughout the day. Each time your mind disperses, return your attention to these 3 priorities. Protocol 3. The Total Immersion Technique. When working on any task, practice single-point concentration. Eliminate all possible distractions. Close unnecessary browser tabs, put your phone on airplane mode, close your office door. Then, immerse yourself completely in the present activity. If it's a conversation, listen with your entire being. If it's a creative project, involve yourself totally. If it's physical exercise, feel each movement consciously. Protocol 4. Presence Checkpoints. Program 5 discrete alarms during your workday. When they sound, immediately ask yourself, where is my mind now? Am I present in what I'm doing, or am I in another mental time? If you discover you're wandering, take 3 deep breaths and intentionally return to the current moment. Protocol 5. Sensory attention practice. During everyday activities, eating, walking, showering, consciously practice involving all your senses. If you're eating, really taste the food. If you're walking, feel your feet touching the ground. If you're listening to music, allow the sound to completely fill your consciousness. This practice develops your capacity for presence and converts ordinary activities into moments of deep mindfulness. The Stoic Millionaire also developed the present purpose technique. Before beginning any activity, no matter how small, he asked himself, "What is my conscious intention for the next few minutes? How can I do this with excellence and total presence?" This practice transformed even the most mundane tasks into opportunities for growth and self-discipline. Advanced application for conscious planning. The Stoic Millionaire didn't eliminate future planning, he refined it. He designated specific moments for intentional planning. 30 minutes each Sunday for weekly vision, 15 minutes each evening to review the next day. Outside these designated moments, he practiced returning his attention to the present each time his mind began planning compulsively. Managing future anxiety. When he felt anxiety about future events, he implemented the present preparation protocol. He asked himself, "Is there any specific action I can take right now to better prepare for that future situation?" If the answer was yes, he took that action immediately. If it was no, he consciously released the worry and returned his attention to the present moment. Healing the past in the present. For regrets and pains from the past, he developed the present integration technique. Instead of resisting painful memories, he consciously received them in the present moment, asked himself, "What wisdom can I extract from this experience now?" and then used that wisdom to improve his current decisions. The Stoic Millionaire also created the present gratitude ritual. 3 times a day, he paused what he was doing and found something in his present experience for which to feel genuinely grateful. Not something from the past or a future hope, but something that was happening exactly in that moment. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius taught, concentrate on the present moment. The Stoic Millionaire discovered that this practice not only improved his emotional well-being and his inner strength, but also dramatically multiplied his real productivity and the quality. Acceptance is not giving up, it's strategic wisdom of the highest quality. The Stoic Millionaire learned one of the most liberating and powerful lessons of his life. Fighting against the inevitable not only wastes precious energy that could be used to create real solutions, but also unnecessarily multiplies suffering and blocks perception of the authentic opportunities that each difficult situation contains. 4 years, he had spent massive amounts of mental and emotional energy fighting against realities that were completely outside his control. When the economy entered recession, he consumed himself in frustration over market conditions. When a business partner made decisions he considered wrong, he lost hours trying to convince or manipulate the situation. When weather conditions ruined his weekend plans, he allowed his bad mood to infect the rest of his free time. The transformation moment came during a particularly devastating business crisis. A new government regulation had completely changed the rules of his industry, turning his most profitable business model into something practically illegal overnight. His first reaction was total indignation. He hired expensive lawyers to fight the regulation, organized political pressure campaigns, spent months and a considerable fortune trying to reverse the irreversible. After 6 months of futile struggle, he realized something fundamental. While he had been fighting against the new reality, his smarter competitors had been adapting to it, finding new opportunities within the new rules of the game. His resistance had not only been useless, but had put him at significant competitive disadvantage. Transformative application of strategic acceptance. The Stoic Millionaire developed the Intelligent Acceptance Protocol, a sophisticated system for distinguishing between what's worth changing and what's wiser to accept, and for converting that acceptance into competitive advantage. Phase 1. Brutal reality analysis. When facing any difficult situation, ask yourself these 3 critical questions with absolute honesty. Do I have direct control over this situation? Do I have partial influence but not total control? Is this situation completely outside my control? For each answer, develop a specific strategy. Direct control equals immediate action. Partial influence equals action on the controllable part, acceptance of the uncontrollable part. No control equals total acceptance and energy redirection. Phase 2. The energy redirection technique. The Stoic Millionaire discovered that acceptance becomes powerful when accompanied by intentional redirection. Each time you identify something you must accept, immediately ask yourself, where can I now direct the energy I was spending resisting this? If you're facing an illness you can't change, redirect your energy toward optimizing your recovery and finding meaning in the experience. If you're dealing with job loss, redirect your energy toward professional opportunities you hadn't previously considered. Phase 3, the conscious release ritual. Develop a physical practice for releasing what you cannot change. The Stoic Millionaire had a specific ritual. He wrote on paper what he needed to accept, read it aloud while honestly acknowledging his pain or frustration, then burned it while saying, "I release my need to control this. I embrace my power to choose my response." This physical act helped his mind process the transition from resistance to acceptance. Phase 4, the search for hidden gifts. In each situation requiring acceptance, actively seek hidden gifts, opportunities, lessons, strengths, or connections that are only possible due to that specific situation. When he lost an important contract due to the client company's internal politics, he initially felt devastated. But accepting that loss led him to diversify his client base, which subsequently protected him from similar crises and multiplied his income. Phase 5, anticipatory acceptance practice. Develop the habit of preventive acceptance for situations you know might happen. If you have a family member with a terminal illness, mentally practice accepting their eventual loss while you can still enjoy time with that person. If you work in a volatile industry, mentally practice accepting possible economic changes while developing transferable skills. This practice isn't pessimism. It's emotional preparation that allows you to respond with wisdom rather than shock when the unexpected happens. Advanced application in relationships. The most difficult acceptance often involves other people. The Stoic Millionaire learned to accept that he couldn't change others' decisions, personalities, or behaviors, even those of his loved ones. Instead of spending energy trying to control others, he redirected it toward being the best possible example and toward communicating his needs clearly without expectations that others would fulfill them. Managing injustice. When facing situations you perceive as unfair, implement the constructive injustice protocol. First, allow yourself to fully feel your indignation. It's a natural human response. Second, ask yourself, is there any legal and ethical action I can take to correct this? If the answer is yes, take that action with determination but without emotional attachment to the outcome. If the answer is no, practice acceptance while seeking ways to prevent similar injustices in the future or to support others facing similar situations. Acceptance as strength. The Stoic Millionaire discovered that acceptance didn't make him passive or weak, it made him incredibly strong and effective. When he completely accepted a difficult situation, his mind cleared, his creativity was liberated, and he could see solutions that emotional resistance had been blocking. His resilience multiplied because he no longer spent energy on impossible battles to win. Application in business decisions. Implement the 48-hour acceptance rule. When facing a business decision that didn't turn out as expected, give yourself exactly 48 hours to process the disappointment completely. After those 48 hours, practice total acceptance and focus only on, what is my next best move given this new reality? Daily acceptance training. Each day, practice consciously accepting something small that would normally irritate you. Slow traffic, a long line at the supermarket, a delay in public transportation. Use these minor situations as a gym to strengthen your acceptance muscle for major situations. The Stoic Millionaire also developed the cosmic perspective question. When struggling against something he couldn't change, he asked himself, how important will this be in 100 years? How would someone who has lived much more difficult experiences view this situation? This perspective helped him keep things in proportion and find peace in the midst of turbulence. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus wrote, some things are within our power while others are not. Within our power are our opinions, motivations, desires, and the things that repel us. Not within our power are our body, our property, our reputations, and our positions. This fundamental distinction became the foundation of the Stoic Millionaire's extraordinary inner strength and the source of his unshakable emotional independence. The Stoic Millionaire discovered that gratitude is the most powerful and underestimated antidote against chronic dissatisfaction, destructive envy, and the constant sense of scarcity that plagues so many successful people. His daily practice of conscious gratitude wasn't a superficial positive thinking exercise, but a sophisticated discipline that literally reprogrammed his brain to perceive abundance and opportunities where others only saw problems and limitations. During his early years of financial success, he had fallen into a common but devastating psychological trap, the hedonic treadmill. No matter how much he achieved or accumulated, his satisfaction level remained surprisingly stable. Each new achievement brought a brief burst of happiness that quickly faded, leaving him with the same sense of emptiness and the compulsive need to reach the next goal, acquire the next possession, conquer the next challenge. He had become addicted to the dopamine of achievement, but never developed the capacity to truly enjoy and appreciate what he had already created. His days were filled with objective successes, but his subjective experience was dominated by constant anxiety, compulsive comparison with others, and a persistent sense that it was never enough. Paradoxically, the more he had, the less satisfied he felt. The transformation began during an unexpected conversation with an older man he met on an international flight. This man, who had survived concentration camps during World War II, radiated a peace and joy that the Stoic millionaire had rarely witnessed. When he asked what his secret was, the elderly man replied, "Every morning I wake up amazed to be alive. Every meal is a banquet because I remember real hunger. Every moment with my family is precious because I know what it is to lose everything." Transformative application of conscious gratitude. Implement the Stoic millionaire's strategic gratitude system, designed not only to improve your emotional state, but to multiply your capacity to perceive opportunities and create value in the world. Protocol 1. The Morning Gratitude Trilogy. Each morning, before checking your phone or beginning your productive routine, dedicate exactly 10 minutes to writing 3 specific categories of gratitude. Gratitude for the basic. Identify something fundamental you take for granted: your ability to breathe effortlessly, the potable water you have available, the roof over your head, your capacity to see, walk, think. Really contemplate the miraculous nature of these basic capacities that millions of people don't possess. Gratitude for challenges. Here's the advanced practice that separated the Stoic millionaire from superficial gratitude. Identify a current problem or recent challenge and find something specific to thank it for. If you're facing financial stress, be grateful for the motivation it gives you to be more creative. If you have a relationship conflict, be grateful for the opportunity to develop better communication skills. Gratitude for future opportunities. Identify an exciting possibility that exists in your life right now, a project you could start, a skill you could develop, a relationship you could deepen. Feel anticipatory gratitude for the growth this opportunity represents. Protocol 2. The Conscious Contrast Technique. Once a week, practice temporal loss meditation to amplify your appreciation. Choose something you value greatly: your health, your family, your work capacity, your home, and dedicate 15 minutes to vividly imagining how your life would be if you lost it permanently. Not as emotional masochism, but as gratitude calibration. After this visualization, when you return to your current reality, you'll experience genuinely deep appreciation for what you have. Protocol 3. Gratitude for people practice. The Stoic millionaire developed a specific practice to transform his relationships. Each day he chose one person in his life and wrote a specific and detailed gratitude note, focusing not on what that person did for him, but on the character qualities he admired in that person. Some of these notes he sent, others he kept to himself, but the exercise of consciously seeking what was admirable in others fundamentally changed how he experienced his relationships. Protocol 4. Gratitude for past failures. This advanced practice involves revisiting past experiences that were initially painful or disappointing and specifically seeking the gifts those experiences brought to your life. The Stoic millionaire maintained a blessed failures journal, where he documented how past rejections, losses, and mistakes had resulted in opportunities, wisdom, or strength he wouldn't have developed otherwise. Protocol 5. Real-time gratitude. During the day, when you experience any positive emotion, a pleasant conversation, a delicious meal, a moment of natural beauty, a sense of accomplishment, consciously pause for 30 seconds to amplify that experience through active gratitude. Instead of allowing these moments to pass unnoticed, use them as training opportunities for your appreciation muscle. Advanced application in difficult situations. When facing crises or periods of intense stress, implement emergency gratitude search. In the darkest moments, commit to finding at least one microscopic thing for which to feel genuine gratitude. It can be as simple as being grateful that the pain you feel demonstrates you're alive and that things matter to you, or being grateful that you have the mental capacity to seek solutions. Gratitude as abundance strategy. The Stoic millionaire discovered that conscious gratitude not only improved his emotional well-being but also improved his external results. People were naturally drawn to his positive energy, business opportunities flowed more easily, and his creativity multiplied because his mind was focused on possibilities rather than limitations. Gratitude training for success. Practice preventive gratitude before important achievements. Before closing a deal, getting a promotion, or reaching a goal, practice feeling grateful for the opportunity to pursue that objective regardless of the outcome. This practice prevents disappointment if you don't achieve the desired result and amplifies satisfaction if you do. Application in team management. If you lead people, implement regular gratitude meetings, where the team shares specific appreciations for each member's contributions. The Stoic Millionaire discovered that this practice not only improved morale but also significantly improved team performance because people felt truly valued. Gratitude as antidote to comparison. When you feel tempted to compare yourself negatively with others, immediately practice competitive gratitude. Instead of envying what others have, be grateful that their success demonstrates those achievements are possible for you too. Use their accomplishments as inspiration and evidence of opportunity rather than as a source of insecurity. The Stoic Millionaire also developed the final gratitude question. He asked himself each night before sleeping, if I had to lose everything except one thing from my current life, what would I choose to keep? This question helped him identify what was truly important and feel deep appreciation for that fundamental priority. As Seneca wrote, it is not that we have so little time but that we waste so much of it. The Stoic Millionaire understood that this quote also applied to gratitude. It wasn't that we had few things to be grateful for, but that our attention was focused on what was missing instead of on the abundance that already existed in our lives. Self-discipline is not born from radical changes or dramatic overnight transformations, but from the systematic and strategic accumulation of small consistent victories that build unstoppable momentum. The Stoic Millionaire discovered that his personal and professional empire was not built on occasional monumental decisions, but on thousands of daily micro-decisions that gradually strengthened his self-control until it became an almost unbreakable force. For years, he had been a victim of the dramatic transformation syndrome, the belief that real change required heroic efforts and radical lifestyle modifications. He had repeatedly attempted to implement perfect routines that lasted barely days or weeks before collapsing under the weight of their own unrealistic expectations. He wanted to meditate 2 hours daily without having established the discipline of meditating 5 minutes. He wanted to wake up at 5 a.m. without having developed the capacity to go to bed early consistently. He wanted to completely transform his diet without having built the habit of making conscious food choices. Each failure in these radical transformation attempts eroded his confidence in his own capacity for change and reinforced a destructive internal narrative that he lacked the discipline necessary to reach his most ambitious goals. He had become an expert at starting personal improvement projects, but a novice at sustaining them long-term. The transformative revelation came when he met a retired Olympic athlete who explained the concept of marginal training. The idea that microscopic improvements, applied consistently over extended periods, generate exponentially superior results to sporadic, intense efforts. This athlete hadn't reached the Olympics through occasional 8-hour training sessions, but through consistent daily sessions where each day was barely 0.1% better than the previous one. Application of the microdiscipline system. Implement the Stoic Millionaire's small victories architecture, a scientifically designed system to build unbreakable self-discipline through microscopic but consistent victories. Phase 1, the 1% rule. Choose an area of your life where you want to develop greater discipline: exercise, nutrition, productivity, relationships, finances, personal development. Instead of attempting a 100% transformation, commit to a 1% daily improvement. If you want to develop the exercise habit, don't start with hour-long routines. Start with literally 1 push-up per day for a week. If you want to improve your nutrition, don't eliminate all processed foods simultaneously. Replace one single processed meal with a healthy option each day. Phase 2, the minimum viable victory protocol. Define the smallest possible version of your new habit that would be so easy it would be harder not to do it than to do it. The Stoic Millionaire began his meditation practice with 30 seconds of conscious breathing each morning after brushing his teeth. The key is that this action be so minuscule that your brain doesn't activate resistance mechanisms. Once this micro-action becomes automatic, generally after 2 to 3 weeks, gradually increase its duration or intensity. Phase 3, the habit chaining system. Connect your new micro-habit with an already established routine in your life. If you already have the habit of drinking coffee each morning, practice your micro-habit immediately after your first sip. If you already have the habit of checking your phone before bed, practice your micro-habit immediately before touching it. This technique uses existing habits as anchors for new behaviors. Phase 4, microscopic celebration. Each time you complete your micro-habit, dedicate 10 to 15 seconds to conscious celebration. It can be as simple as saying yes internally, making a small victory gesture with your arms, or feeling a genuine smile. This celebration releases dopamine that reinforces the behavior at a neurological level. The Stoic Millionaire discovered that these micro-celebrations were critical to making small habits feel rewarding rather than tedious. Phase 5. Visual progress tracking. Create a simple visual system to monitor your consistency. It can be as basic as a sheet of paper on your refrigerator where you mark an X each day you complete your micro-habit. Seeing the chain of consecutive X's becomes additional motivation not to break the sequence. When you have 30 consecutive days, you'll be ready to gradually increase the intensity or duration of your habit. Advanced application, the complexity ladder. Once you've solidly established a micro-habit, gradually add layers of complexity following the 25% increment rule. Each month, increase your habit's demand by a maximum of 25%. If you started with 30 seconds of meditation, after a solid month you can increase to 40 seconds. After another solid month to 50 seconds. This gradual progression avoids system shock and maintains momentum. The multiple front system. Once you've built 2 to 3 solid micro-habits, which generally takes 2 to 3 months, you can begin introducing additional micro-habits in other areas of your life. The Stoic Millionaire eventually developed micro-habits for physical exercise, nutrition, meditation, reading, writing, gratitude, and daily planning, but he introduced them one by one, with months of separation between each new habit. Application in professional challenges. Use the same principle to develop professional skills. If you want to improve your presentation skills, commit to practicing one specific element for 2 minutes daily. It could be voice projection, eye contact, or gesticulation. If you want to develop a stronger professional network, commit to sending one authentic connection message per day to someone in your industry. Managing internal resistance. When your brain generates resistance toward your micro-habits, and it will, implement the internal negotiation technique. Instead of abandoning completely, negotiate with the smallest possible version. If your micro-habit is 5 minutes of reading and you feel total resistance, negotiate with 1 minute. If you still feel resistance, negotiate with reading a single page. The goal is to maintain consistency above intensity. Application in crisis moments. During periods of extreme stress or personal crisis, temporarily reduce your micro-habits to their most basic version instead of abandoning them completely. The Stoic Millionaire discovered that maintaining even microscopic versions of his disciplines during crises helped him regain control more quickly once the crisis passed. Identity building through micro-actions. Each micro-victory reinforces a new personal identity. When you consistently complete exercise micro-habits, you begin to see yourself as someone who exercises. When you complete gratitude micro-habits, you begin to see yourself as someone who appreciates life. This identity transformation is more powerful than any temporary external motivation. The Stoic Millionaire also developed the 48-hour reset protocol. If he lost consistency in any habit for more than 2 days, he didn't punish himself with destructive self-criticism. Instead, he immediately returned to the most basic version of that habit and restarted his consistency chain. This practice prevented small stumbles from becoming permanent abandonments. As Aristotle taught, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act but a habit. The Stoic Millionaire deeply understood that extraordinary self-discipline was not an innate characteristic, but a capacity systematically developed through thousands of small conscious decisions that, accumulated over time, created practically unbreakable inner strength and self-control. Stoicism is not a distant philosophy reserved for academics or a complicated discipline accessible only to a privileged few. It's a practical and completely accessible path for anyone genuinely committed to building authentic inner strength and true emotional independence. The Stoic Millionaire demonstrated conclusively that these ancient principles not only work in the modern world, but become more powerful and relevant in our era of constant distractions, intense pressures, and accelerated changes. Each of the 8 lessons we've explored can be implemented in your life in the next 5 minutes. They don't require extraordinary resources, special connections, or ideal circumstances. They require only your conscious decision to begin where you are, with what you have, and your commitment to apply these principles consistently until they become the natural foundation of how you navigate your daily life. The Stoic world is not a final destination you reach after years of perfect practice. It's a way of walking that you can adopt immediately, a perspective you can apply to every challenge you face, a source of resilience that strengthens each time you choose to respond consciously instead of reacting automatically. Which of these 8 Stoic lessons resonated most deeply with you, and are you willing to apply in your life starting today to begin your own transformation toward true inner freedom? If this content inspired you and you feel it can also transform the lives of other people you know, like this video, subscribe to the channel to receive more practical wisdom about personal development, and share it with those who also need to hear these transformative principles. Leave in the comments your answer to this question. Which Stoic lesson impacted you most, and how do you plan to apply it in your life this very week? Remember, the path to true wisdom and emotional independence begins with the first conscious step. And that step is today, in this moment, with the decision you make right now to begin living according to these ancient principles that have transformed lives for more than 2,000 years.